This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do we have a problem? Do I have a problem? Does Calvin Johnson have a problem? That's the theme of this show, is basically problems. And Stroz, we haven't really talked about that, but I was looking at the rundown as we get started, and that's what it is. We didn't do an episode last week because, I've been dealing with problems. Some bad back and neck pain, some other issues to go along with it. Thankfully, the back and neck pain have gotten a lot better. I'm still having other issues. But we're going to get in the middle segment. I've been sleeping on an air mattress since Friday night, I believe. So going on about a week. We'll get into why and some of the thoughts around that. Also, some of these health problems of mine have encouraged me to get healthy. We've talked many, many, many times on this show about me getting healthy. In fact, I believe when we started the show, I was in the middle of a period of time where I'd lost 40 pounds. I have since put all of that back on and more. And in the last week and a half here, lost another 12 pounds. But so I have a cheat day coming up. I am 100% sure we have had cheat day conversations on this show before, but I have a particularly unusual debate between what I'm going to do. So we're going to get into both of those things in the middle segment. Stroz, last week we were supposed to talk about your issue with Calvin Johnson, and I got to tell you, he said something recently. My opinion on the topic has changed a little bit since we were supposed to do it last week.
Interesting.
So we'll get into that. But first, our problem that we collectively share. I believe by the time this comes out, usually this comes out on Fridays, right?
Correct.
So the NBA draft will have happened.
Yes. And
the Pistons will probably have selected Cade Cunningham. That being said, as I read through all the trade considerations, all the rumors is a strong word because I don't think nobody's once convinced me that any of these trades were really on the table, but just like trade ideas. And I read about these other prospects and I go, you know what? It doesn't matter what Troy Weaver does on Thursday. I believe in Cade Cunningham, but my belief in Troy Weaver is almost uncomfortable. Because if he decides to pass on Cade Cunningham for either a trade or some other player, I'm going to believe he knows what he's doing. And that's crazy. It is crazy to have that confidence about anything with the Pistons. In fact, I feel like probably in the life of this podcast, we made fun of the Troy Weaver. No, you know what? No, I think we liked the Troy Weaver hire from day one. We just made fun of the fact that they didn't have a GM for so long.
Yes.
But dude, he's obviously been in charge for a really limited amount of time, but I don't know how I need to see more than what he did last draft. And let's be clear, I've been fooled before. I was all in on Bob Quinn. I was a believer in whatever he did early on in his time. To some level, I was also a big believer in Martin Mayhew. I think I'll say this. You may see me as a Lions homer, but the length of, like, the way I've changed in the last decade to 15 years as a Lions fan, I don't think they're comparable. But in terms of, outside of that, I've never believed in any GM the way I believe in Troy Weaver.
Yeah, it is uncomfortable. I'm in lockstep with you because it's based off of such a limited sample size. It's last year. Last year, he was basically able to spin water into wine. He was able to feed millions on 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread.
Wow.
He is essentially Jesus. So, but it's bonkers, man. Like, he took draft picks that we weren't expecting anything out of, and a little bit ago I looked, and he turned them into like top 12 rookies from last season. You know, Isaiah Stewart was, I think, number 7. So, like, that's pretty impressive for being drafted where they were drafted. You got a lot of good production out of a guy like Sadiq Bey.
Can I also say, they were so aggressive in moving around picks last offseason. I think that matters, too.
Yes.
Like, I don't know that if you just happen to have 3 first-round draft picks because you've done what, Oklahoma City has done, and you've accumulated so many damn draft picks over the years that, like, you're just going to have years with a bunch of draft picks. That's one thing. Troy Weaver went out and made it a point to get multiple draft picks in last year's first round. So, like, not only did he hit on his picks, but he went out and got the picks to have those players. And I think that, honestly, that doubles down on how much it means.
Yeah, I think it shows that he's that he's got some conviction in what he's doing. And it shows how big his balls really are. Because you can play it safe. No, like for real. You can play it safe and you can just kind of let the draft come to you and you could turn around and say, hey, well, that's what was available. No. He targeted guys and then made moves to go get those guys, which I think shows that he knows what he's doing. It shows a stronger conviction in his draft picks. And to be so trustworthy of a guy. Last time I trusted a general manager this much was Ken Holland. And it's funny because I used to, me and a couple of my buddies, when Ken Holland was general manager, we used to joke around, and it was in Kenny we trust. You know, on the dollar bill it says in God we trust.
Well, people have done this with every GM in the history of sports.
Well, no, I get it. But like, it was in Kenny we trust, and it's weird how it kind of plays out. So yours was Bob Quinn. You got burned by that. Mine was Ken Holland. I got burned by that. I don't feel like we're anywhere
Ken
close.
Holland, I mean, he did win did he win multiple Stanley Cups?
Yes.
And I know, like, his run started with a salary cap-less NHL, but, like, that's not the same as Bob Quinn. Bob Quinn didn't win a playoff game.
No, for sure. Like, so we both ended up burned by it is what I'm getting
In fact, he took over a pretty good team and took them in the wrong direction.
Made him even worse. So it's weird to be in this position where it almost feels like Troy Weaver can do no wrong. You know, like if Troy Weaver was to trade out of the first spot and go and target another player, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say, okay, let's see what he does.
One of the popular ones right now is the Pistons trading for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the 6th overall pick. Mm-hmm. And I think we've done this before. We've talked about how we would feel if they didn't take Cade Cunningham. And this is still true. I personally, if they don't take Cade Cunningham, would like them to stay in the top 4 and take either one of the Jalens or Evan Mobley. Mm-hmm. But this is where I've shifted. This is where my thought is, like, that's not the route I want to go. But if that's the route he goes, I always hate, you get the stereotypical sports radio caller who likes to say, like, you never played this sport. Like, who are you to critique this? And I think it's a really stupid opinion. People talk about sports all the time. If people didn't talk about sports, they wouldn't be as big as they are. But I think when you really believe in a general manager in any sport, that kind of becomes your reality. You get to this place where you're like, okay, that's not the move that I like, but I don't know as well as Troy Weaver. And look, I'm going to say something. When you're talking about general managers, a lot of these dudes have no fucking clue what they're doing. And it's not necessarily because they're stupid. It's because this stuff is really, really complicated. It is always changing. I think that's a big part of it. It's always changing. Like, there's no questioning that Joe Dumars was at one time an elite general manager. And that time passed him up. That's what happens a lot of the times. I would go so far as to say, Stroz, the average sports fan is as capable of being a general manager as many, 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 many bad general managers. You cannot convince me Bob Quinn was better at running the Lions than I would have been. Now, maybe he wasn't worse, but he wasn't better. I'd have hired Matt Patricia too.
You know what I find fun to do? Just to kind of prove your point. You'll kind of go through and you'll target players before a draft. And usually with the NFL, it's easier because we have a ton more film. We have a ton more information because we watch a ton of college sports. But you'll target a couple guys, and you'll kind of watch how their career unfolds when they go wherever they go, and then you can kind of like wonder, like, oh, would that have worked here in Detroit? You know, there were a few times where I've done that. I'm like, oh, okay, like I would have hit on that. But then there's other times where you totally miss.
Small one nobody talks about. Stroz would have rather taken Aaron Donald.
Yes, absolutely.
No one ever says that one.
But look, my point is, you're to your point. It's kind of a swing, and it's almost like playing baseball, right? It's a lot of times it's a swing and a miss. Every now and then you'll hit a home run. What I can tell you is with the limited sample size that we got from Troy Weaver last year, he hit a couple of home runs, and he was aggressive about his swings with those at the plate.
Are you afraid to be burned by it, by your belief in it? Because, like, I do think that's what's adjusted for me in the Lions. A friend of mine texted me today and said, I'm trying really hard not to get too optimistic about the Lions, but there's just so many good things that I'm reading. And I was like, it's not to say that I can't ever be optimistic about them again, but, like, I think I'm past the point in my life of blind optimism. I don't think that will ever happen again for me. And I don't think this Troy Weaver stuff, it's not blind. It's small sample size, like you said, but it's not blind. I didn't believe in him like this. Shoot, I believed in SVG blind. But are you afraid for that burn? Because it sucks when you have your hopes up that finally this is it. The Pistons haven't been relevant in 15 years. Finally, this is it. Are you afraid at all for the letdown?
I've not even given it a second thought. And I think that tells you how confident I am in him. Like, I've not even thought about the burn. I've not even thought about
Can I parallel that something for you?
Yeah.
And you're going to love this. I don't want to get too deep into this because we have a lot we're going to get to in the middle segment. But I have often thought about how in my long-term relationship, since it was the only serious relationship I had been in my life, like how innocent that, like, I had never even considered the possibility that we could break up. Mm-hmm. Like, when we did, it hit so hard because I was like, wait, what? Like, no, this was never on the table. And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, you would know better than me, I think that some of that goes away after your first big breakup. And I also think that some of that goes away after your first big burn in your sports GM. I can't tell you that I haven't thought at all about the burn that comes with a Troy Weaver failure.
That's a really interesting parallel.
I'm not saying it's at the front of your mind by any means, Stroz.
No.
I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. But, like, for me, and I think this is probably normal, like, I genuinely never considered that possibility. We've been together for 6 years. Like, we were always going to be. That's just the way things, like, that's just part of life. Mm-hmm. And, like, when you open your eyes to the fact that it's not, I think it's hard to ever close them to that again.
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty good comparison, actually. And like I said, it kind of shocked me. I wasn't ready for that. I have thought about the burn with Troy Weaver, and I talked about it before with the Lions. I've talked many times with the Lions about how I'm scared to buy in too much anymore, and it's not that extreme because I don't have a good answer for why it's not as extreme because I love the Pistons and I love basketball. I think the reason it's not as extreme is because I haven't been burned as many times or as severely by the Pistons. Stan Van Gundy is the only Pistons GM I've ever believed in since Joe Dumars. Hold on. Let me take that a step back because he's literally the only one in between. I didn't like any coach between Flip Saunders and Stan Van Gundy. So we went a very long period of time where I just didn't believe in the Pistons. And I don't have the same, like, history of being burnt like I do with the Lions. That makes sense. And here's the thing. I think, look, I've been burned by the Lions. I've been burned by the Red Wings. I've been burned by the Pistons. Tigers, it's what it is. I think this is the first time where I can look at a general manager and not have any apprehension about what he's going to do. Like I'm just trusting him because
Troy Weaver is your equivalent of a first love.
Sure. Sure. Let's go.
Hold on. You kind of roll your eyes at me, but you said it was a good comparison. That is what you were telling me. Because I'm not as far in as you are, it sounds like. I'm pretty far in, but I'm not that far in.
Look, I don't know, man. It's just I was so damn impressed. And maybe it's just because of where the bar was set, right? I don't think either one of us really expected a whole lot out of the Pistons. You grab Troy Weaver, and then you kind of look at what he does with the draft. And I remember leaving that draft being like, I don't really know about this draft. And then you look at how it played out last year, and you're like, okay, like he knows what he's doing. So I don't know. He basically took me and he spun me around. Now I've done a 180, and I'm like so high on the Pistons and I'm so high on this front office that it would take a lot to bring me down. And right. I've not even thought about him burning me.
Before we move on to me sleeping on an air mattress for the last week, I have one final question for you.
Yes.
If he goes way off the board and doesn't trade the pick, but also doesn't take a top four like consensus player, are you still all in?
Yeah, man, I gotta be. Because he obviously knows something. I compare this to Danny Ainge and what he did in Boston.
I think I did that first, but okay.
That's kind of how I'm looking at this, right? It's, everybody said to take Markelle Fultz. He said, no. And look at Markelle Fultz. He's a mess.
We've talked about this before. I brought that up as well. If he trades the pick, that's what you have to hope it is. You have to hope it's that all over again. I think we're mostly on the same page. You're just diving in deeper than I am. And I mean, when is that not the case? If we agree on something, you will almost always believe it stronger than me. If we disagree, things can get heated. But if we agree, I have, like, in this case, I have both feet in the water, but you're underwater. You've already dove all the way in. All right. So, like I mentioned, we didn't do last week's episode because of my back and neck pain. And I don't know what started it. I certainly think my bed played a role. It might have started it. But as it got worse, I started to realize my bed had like a freaking crater in it, a me-sized crater in the middle. And I slept on it for a day or two after realizing that. I tried, so it cannot be flipped upside down. Something like, I don't know if some mattresses can't do that. Mm-hmm. Mine could not. Obviously, I rotated it 180, but it took all of a few hours before the me-sized crater was an issue on that side as well. And so finally I thought, you know what? I have a really nice air mattress. Might it be better for my back and neck than this regular mattress with a crater in it? And let me tell you, Stroz, it is by a lot.
I find this to be so weird because I've had an air mattress before, and we're talking pre-show, and you told me, like, just go spend $100 to get yourself a great air mattress. You'd be blown away.
What I actually told you is, if you have a bad air mattress, then
you're a bad person.
And go buy a nice $100 air mattress and see how much nicer it is.
That is exactly what you said. I don't know. I had an air mattress, and it sucked to sleep on. It was absolutely brutal to sleep on. And I slept on it quite a bit.
How high off the ground is your air mattress?
It was about 1.5 feet. It was a pretty big one.
Oh, I'm going to see if I can show you this. Obviously, I can't show the podcast this.
Right. I'll tell everybody what's going on. So B has his camera, and he's shaking violently, and he's showing me his his air mattress.
I can't get a great angle on it, it appears. No. What can I... Okay, it looks like this is not going to work. But I would say mine is probably close to 3 feet off the ground.
Okay.
And that should give you an idea, like, of the firmness, if it's got that much air in it. I realized this recently because I was arguing is a strong word, but I had mentioned to a friend that I was going to try the air mattress. And he was like, there's no way your air mattress is better than your bed, even with the crater. I said, Stroh's like, I slept on an air mattress all the time growing up. My parents used it for camping. They used it if we, like, slept over at, like, a cousin's house or something like that. But the air mattresses of our childhood, nowhere is near the same, man. A $100 air mattress today, look, I'm not going to tell you it's as good as a nice air mattress or a nice mattress, but it is a lot nicer than a bad one.
What for me? What led you to sleep? Like, yeah, I'm going to do the air mattress. I'm going to try this. Was it just like you ran out of all other options with your bed?
The crater was so bad, Stroz. So I couldn't sleep in the middle because there was no way to not have my, like, neck be, like, way up and my back be way down.
Yeah.
And I tried sleeping on the sides of the bed, but the crater was so big that you could feel, like, the pull in.
Yeah, you're rolling into it.
Yeah. And so, like, it was definitive that wouldn't feel good. And I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons I kind of want to talk about this, for one, I'm apparently Mr. Air Mattress. Like, I'm here to tell everybody what a $100 air mattress can get you. But for two, it's kind of funny. So I did it on Friday first, right? So I slept in it Friday and Saturday, and it was kind of fun.
Was it like camping in your front room?
It was. No, it was. And I think, like, if I did it on a weeknight, maybe it wouldn't have felt like that at first. But my first night was Friday and Saturday. So I was playing video games till, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I just flopped onto my air mattress, threw on some Netflix, and went to bed. And it was kind of cool. It has worn off big time. I'm very ready. My new mattress gets in tomorrow, and I'm very ready for it.
What did you get, by the way?
A Beauty Sleep Queen.
Okay.
Are you into mattresses enough to, like, care?
Yeah, a little bit. I was just wondering if you went from one of the online ones or if you went to. Like,
I did order it online. Okay. I was in so much pain. I canceled recording a show. Like, I'm not doing anything. Shows I was having trouble working because I couldn't sit without neck support. Mm-hmm. I'm still dealing with some back and neck pain, but, like, it's in fact, Fun story. I got an MRI done today. You ever had an MRI done?
Yes.
So rating 1 to 10, 1 being the equivalent of sleeping on a bed of rocks, and 10 being sleeping on clouds. What is the likelihood of falling asleep in an MRI?
I would say it's pretty low. Now, me saying that, it is generally very uncomfortable. It's a very close space and it's very loud. Every time I've had an MRI, I've fallen asleep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I fell asleep in it today, and I thought I was crazy abnormal, but maybe not. And it was because I've been dealing with some level of neck pain for weeks, and when they like put all this stuff around my head to like hold it still, my head felt so my neck felt so comfortable, and I was tired. I had to wake up early to get this done, and it was loud noises, but it was like they're kind of rhythmic, so it could honestly be kind of calming because I'd already been there for like an hour. Early on, it's like very anxiety inducing, but after you've been doing it long enough, you start to calm down. And yeah, no, I fell asleep. I really thought nobody did that. So I was using that to suggest, like, to tell you how bad my neck situation had been. But yeah, no, I just like, honestly, like I couldn't sleep. I was in so much pain and it wasn't working. And yeah, I had a lot of fun for the first couple of days. And it's weird to say fun because I didn't do anything, but it just felt like I was on vacation. And now it's still better. Like, I'm not hating that I'm sleeping on it now, but I feel like I'm sleeping on an air mattress. I don't feel the improvement. When I went from sleeping on this awful mattress to the air mattress and on a weekend, like I felt the improvement. Now I'm like a week removed and I like forget how bad my bed was.
I wonder what's going to happen. Like, I think next week will be interesting to see how you feel after sleeping on your new mattress. Like if you feel like a new man, you feel like you're brand new.
I think I will. So I bought a new mattress when I was in Grand Rapids. I think I spent about $500 on it, and it felt life-changing. I considered it to be one of the best purchases I had ever made on my life. Now, to be clear, I had been sleeping in the same bed since I was about 6 or 7.
Boy.
Until like 22, 23.
How did that mattress even hold up? Was that your first mattress you ever smushed on?
Yes.
Yeah. Look at you.
You know what's so funny about that, Stroz, is when we broke up, like she really wanted me to get a new bed, and I had been planning on getting a new bed. And my first thought when we broke up was, oh, I don't have to get a new bed now. And then I realized she had to deal with that bed. No other girl did. So I realized, no, actually, now I really need to get a new bed.
Yeah.
But that was the thought I had. I was like, oh, well, now I don't have to do this. But anyways, I spent like $500 and it was life-changing. And this time, I don't necessarily have the money to do it, but hey, screw it, I'll share it here. Days before, I had received the financial aid response on one of my biggest bills from surgery, and I got like $4,000 off. So I was like, oh, shit, like, that's $4,000 I thought I had to spend on medical bills. I spent $750 on a bed, which isn't crazy, but it's still a solid bed.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm very like, talk about an adult purchase that excites you. I am genuinely excited. I should have just gone for a king. I should have just gone.
I don't know why you did.
Gone all the way in and said, California king, fuck this shit. Take all the money that was going towards medical bills and buy a life-changing bed. For the record, the bed that I have here is not the bed I bought in Grand Rapids.
So what's the largest bed you've ever owned? Is a queen the largest?
Yeah.
Queen? Okay.
When I bought a queen, I mean, that felt life-changing, dude. Just like getting that size of bed was crazy. Yeah. It took me a really, it took me well over a year to start sleeping in the middle of the bed.
Really?
Well, because
like you were like beholden to a side.
Well, to that point in my life, I had never slept in a queen bed alone. Every time I'd ever slept in a queen bed, there was somebody else in it.
Yeah.
So it just like felt like I should be on one side of the bed. I don't know when the transition happened that I started kind of moving over to the middle. Dude, I went through stages. Like the first time I got a queen bed, it was like life-changing, but I always slept on the side. And then when I started to move to the middle, that was also life-changing.
That's funny. Cause like, well, like now that we kind of talk about it and I think about it, I don't sleep in the middle of my bed. I sleep on the right side.
Towards the middle, though.
What's that?
You sleep towards the middle, though, right?
Yes, it's towards the middle.
I was like straight up on a side.
On a side, yeah. No, I sleep towards the middle, but it's more right side than anything. So I don't know. That's where I never really thought about it though. It's very rare. You know what I do too, though? I usually sleep diagonal. I'll somehow in the middle of the night I'll find myself stretched across the bed.
You know what's funny is I don't normally do that, but I have woken up that way, and it can be hella disorienting. Speaking of disorienting, I'll tell you, I was a little nervous that I would wake up in the middle of the night in my living room and be disoriented. That has not happened once. I don't really know why. Maybe because I can feel that I'm on an air mattress.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we don't need to get into a whole lot else there, because I have a fun question here for the middle. Did you have anything else you wanted to get into about it?
No, I'm intrigued by your question here, and I have an idea of where we're going.
So I have started eating healthy again. I've gone through many of these. I believe they call it yo-yo dieting. It's not my intention to yo-yo diet. When I take the weight off, I don't mean to put it back on. Last time I lost 40 pounds, and then I moved to Texas. Let me tell you something about Texas. There's a lot of good food here, and a lot of fast food I had never tried, and fast food just kills me. But
you're down 12 pounds, which congratulations.
12 pounds. I think so. Technically, I started eating healthy 2 weeks ago, but I started using my same plan from the last 2 times I was successful. It'll be 2 weeks on Saturday was when I started using that official plan. But anyways, I do believe in a cheat meal. I can't do a cheat day and I've done them before. In fact, I remember the last time that I was eating healthy, I had a cheat day that lined up with Irish on Ionia. And I started drinking at probably noon. Probably the most day drunk I'd gotten since Vegas when I was in college. And Stroz, I went home. I ordered a pizza, a mozzarella stick, and a chocolate chip cookie dessert from Pizza Hut. I ate mozzarella sticks, half the pizza, and half of the cookie. In that one sitting, I probably ate close to 3,000 calories. So if I have a cheat day...
That was like an 8,000 calorie day for you.
Dude, I remember sitting there debating whether or not I wanted mozzarella sticks, and I was pretty drunk. I was like, fuck it, man. I'm going to eat some fucking mozzarella sticks. And then I ate all 8 of them. And I was just like, what else are you going to do? You're not going to reheat mozzarella sticks. I'm here by myself in this apartment. There's 8 mozzarella sticks here. I'm going to fucking eat them. I think it's the only time I've ever ordered mozzarella sticks from Pizza Hut. Breadsticks, sure. Mozzarella sticks? So originally this weekend, I planned on having a cheat meal of ice cream. That was going to be my the meal. Everything else was going to be relatively healthy, but I was going to go get ice cream from Dairy Queen or Baskin Robbins or something like that because I'm a giant dessert guy. I could eat 2,000 calories in desserts a day. And the closest thing I've had to dessert since I started this was yogurt. Some people count that. Fuck you. Yogurt doesn't count.
That's not dessert.
I got asked by someone who knew, in general, what I was eating, if yogurt, helped with dessert cravings. I was like, I mean, not really. So the original plan was ice cream. However, I've run into a bit of a problem. I'm having some issues with my hand. And I don't plan to play video games this weekend. I'm trying to give my hand a rest.
The right hand too, right?
Yes, it is the right hand.
Yeah. Touch masturbation.
Anyways, I have so many different ways to go with that. I'm not even playing video games. And normally Friday and Saturday I play video games all night. And I don't even remember what it was. Oh, Black Widow. There's a movie out that I do want to go see. So now the ice cream sounds great. I haven't had a real dessert in 2 weeks. That's one option. Or option B, give myself something to do Friday night, go to the movies, get a giant tub of popcorn with all the butter, and a nice big pop.
So I do believe you can have best of both worlds here, B.
I was 100% sure that was going to be your answer.
I do believe you can have best of both worlds. You just don't go with the biggest tub of popcorn they have.
No, that's not negotiable. Biggest tub of popcorn.
It's not negotiable. Do they have at the theater you go to down there? Do they have free refills on the popcorn?
I don't know. I don't go very often.
So I'll go to the MJRs around here. I will kill the popcorn before the previews start, and then I'll go refill it so I have a full bag for the movie.
Here's what's gonna be more killer, I think, because popcorn, even no matter how much butter you put on it, popcorn's a pretty tame cheat day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying eating a ton of butter on popcorn is not great, but if that's your cheat day, you could do a lot worse.
Yes.
I think the bigger problem is for me to fully enjoy a nice big popcorn, I also need a nice big pop.
You don't drink diet at all.
Fuck diet pop. I would rather drink water. Genuinely, I like water, but like no, I think water tastes better than diet pop.
I got you. See, so there's those extra. So this is what I'll tell you.
This guy's hold on. You get the best of both worlds. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a small popcorn with no butter. We're gonna get a Diet Coke small, and then you can have two spoonfuls of ice cream.
Look, I like diet pop, but then again, I'm diabetic, so it's what it is. This is what I'll tell you. Scratch all of it. Get the biggest tub of popcorn with all the butter. Maybe buy yourself some Reese's Pieces or some M&Ms and throw them in there with it. And it's good, man.
I've never done that.
Oh yeah, try it. It's great. It's great. Life changing. Do you like peanut butter?
Oh, I love peanut butter. The two desserts that I go to right now are yogurt and a spoonful of peanut butter.
Okay. So I respect your spoonful of peanut butter because I eat peanut butter.
It's the closest thing that I can do to a dessert that is still, a spoon. And I'm not actually grabbing a spoonful of peanut butter, Stroz. This is how serious I am right now. I am using a tablespoon. Because a tablespoon of peanut butter is 2 points on Weight Watchers. And it's 36.
Absolutely depressing how small that is, too.
You know what? It's not as bad as you make it out to be.
I don't know. I love peanut butter. So this is my thing. I'm the kind of guy who will sit down with a big He-Man sized bowl of cereal and I will grab the jar of peanut butter and I will spoon it into my mouth as I'm eating my cereal. I guess what I
would say, I loosely use the Weight Watchers program because it gives me a lot of context. Mm-hmm. And so a tablespoon of peanut butter is depressing if you look at it as a tablespoon of peanut butter. But what I know it as is a tablespoon of peanut butter is only 2 points. I get 36 points for a whole day. So if I wanted more than a tablespoon, I could double that, 4 points. Shoot, I could probably have 4 times that if I really wanted to. Now I'd have to step back on other food on the day. But when I have the context of it's only 2 points, that's nothing, dude. And that's why I don't mind how much I get for a tablespoon.
I got you. That makes sense. I would say, look, I've seen Black Widow. You'll enjoy it. It's a good movie. I say go to the theater, get your big tub of popcorn, buy yourself some Reese's Pieces or get yourself some M&Ms, throw them in the popcorn, and get yourself the massive pop that you want. You'll be extremely satisfied.
I actually like the Reese's peanut butter or the Reese's Pieces idea because that kind of fits the dessert. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would try them in popcorn, but I'm not a huge salty and sweet together guy.
Oh, really?
No. So I don't think I'll do that just because this is a cheat. I would try it. I don't want it to be all of my popcorn. I would rather eat salt than sweet, not combined. So
we were talking about my Oreo.
I actually love your idea. I think I like that. I'm gonna spend $30 on food at the so I can have popcorn and Reese's Pieces.
We were talking about me eating Oreos the other night, and Oreo. So me and Alyssa have this thing, right, where she goes and she finds new different Oreo flavors, not the original, but cool. Different things. And we do this Oreo tasting, and what ends up happening is we just have Oreos in the house.
You love hearing about anything related to me and my sex life. I love hearing about you and anything cutesy. Doing an Oreo tasting is so cutesy. That's the most of me thing, Stroz, and I love hearing about you doing that because it does not fit you.
Yeah, I'm super domesticated right now. It's weird. Anyways, so then we just have Oreos in the house, and I just find myself eating them periodically and eating sleeves of them. Anyways, they came out with this salted caramel Oreo. So it's got a layer of chocolate, a layer of caramel, and on the top of the cookie, it's salted. It is mind-blowingly good. I would recommend on a cheat day, maybe eat a whole thing of Oreos because once you eat one, you won't be able to stop. However, you don't like the sweet and the salty.
So it's not that I don't like it. Salty. Sweet and salty is fine. I would compare it to my thoughts on pepperoni on pizza. It doesn't make it better. I'm perfectly happy eating salty and sweet separately. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. After I have sweet, salty sounds good. And after I have salty, sweet sounds good. But putting the two together to me, it's not the greatest blend, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
It's I need a palate cleanser. I need a sip of water, then the other.
Well, if you eat these Oreos, you're getting both at the same time.
I would certainly try it. Just I really want to try your idea. I might throw a handful of popcorn and a couple Reese's Pieces in my mouth just to try that. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to have that be my whole popcorn.
I'm assuming that once the other half listens to this, she'll be text messaging you because she does that.
Not often.
No, but she'll message you.
Only when you say some bullshit.
Yeah. But she will message you and tell you the right way to do it because she loves it that way. So it's good. You should try it.
Okay. I like your idea. I think that's probably the route we'll go. Mm-hmm. And I'll still get some ice cream probably one of these days when I can play video games. So Calvin Johnson, there's a lot here. I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with his comments or do you want to start with your realization last week?
I think we start there and we just kind of go in chronological order, I guess. So my mom ended up taking me, two weekends ago, took me to Canton to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And while I was walking around the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I ended up messaging you. And I was like, we might have a topic here. I'm still I was working through the emotions and through the feelings of all of this. It was awesome,
by the way. I love it.
It was great. I was really, really impressed.
I think it's a great, for anyone who hasn't done it that's listening, it is an incredible off-season trip. When, you miss football, it is a really good dose of football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting to see everything. It was depressing as a Lions fan. The one thing that I came away with, it is completely depressing as a Lions fan. There are things there, but when you look at it in context compared to teams like the 49ers, the Giants, any team that's been good, Patriots, whatever, there's just a wealth of material for them to basically shove in this museum of nothing but football. And with the Lions, it's much smaller. You don't have a lot.
The ticket to the Lions-Browns championship games in the 50s?
I know, I missed that.
Yeah. I mean, they change the items out all the time, and I haven't been there in probably close to 10 years. But I went 3 times in a span of 5 years, and they were always out when I was there.
So I guess my stepdad just went. He went with us. My stepdad went, I think, 3 years ago, and he said it's completely different. They've changed it all.
I do want to get into the topic. The one thing I will say, I love the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm kind of a sucker for history, and I'm also obviously in love with football. Seeing an actual ticket from the Lions-Browns championships in the 50s, not that you get to do anything with it, it's just there. But it's still really cool to me to think, damn, this is before football was football, and my team was playing in a championship game, and that's an actual ticket. That, it's so cool to me.
Yeah, it was really sweet. There's so much there too, and one of the things that really got me thinking about Calvin Johnson was they had this sports science exhibit, and Calvin Johnson was one of the players, and I was like, well, I got to see this. So I walked over to it, and I hit the button, and it's probably 3, maybe 4 minutes, and it tells about all of the physical attributes and all the things Calvin Johnson can do. Basically, if you throw a football at a 2-car garage door, that's Calvin Johnson's catch radius. That's bananas to me. Anywhere in there, if he's standing in the middle and you throw it to the right, he's going to catch it. You throw it up high, he's going to catch it. You throw it to the left, he's going to come down with it. That's what his catch radius is. It's bonkers. Him jumping, he can out jump Olympic athletes. Him running almost as fast as Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson set the combine record with 4.2 seconds or whatever. 4.
I think it's 4.24, 4.25.
Yeah, and Calvin runs a 4.35. That's nuts. And Calvin Johnson weighs almost 80 pounds more than him.
Honestly, he was never given enough appreciation for the level of freak athlete he was.
Yeah. He was an absolute genetic monster. And just kind of looking at all of that, and then you put it into context with he had a quarterback that just got you multiple first-round picks, and he's a pretty good quarterback. ESPN has him ranked as the 6th best quarterback in the league right now. You guys weren't able to win anything. And it became really, really frustrating to me. And then you compound that with all of the talking he does lately. Now, I get it. People ask him these questions and he gives you an honest answer. But at a certain point, just move away from the topic. He's so bitter over $1 million. And I get that it's for the organization, it's small potatoes. Okay? It really is small potatoes. What's $1 million to a billionaire? Nothing. Okay. For him, it's more of it's more the principle of it. But at a certain point, man, I'm tired of hearing about it. You made millions of dollars. You didn't have to sign that last contract. You didn't have to be here. I don't need to hear you keep talking about it and putting down this organization. And I'm just kind of enough's enough. And that's where I'm at. And like this weekend, he ended up talking again, and I was just kind of like, I'm through with this man. Like, I'm done with him.
So on your one point about them never winning anything, because these were thoughts and feelings you were having before his latest comments.
Mm-hmm.
The one major pushback I think that needs to be had there, I refuse to believe those Lions don't win anything if Stafford, Sue, and Calvin are all drafted under the new rookie wage scale. Because that team, I know they ended up losing to the Cowboys, but that team was as good as anybody in the league, and their 3 best players were on massive rookie contracts. Imagine if those 3 were on cost-controlled contracts, what the rest of that roster could have looked like.
Yep. I agree with you.
You could have added 2 to 3 all-pro level players. Maybe they don't win a Super Bowl, but I promise you they win a playoff game.
I would agree with you on that. I think that's a very fair point.
So I don't think it's fair to hold never winning anything against them entirely. And also, Calvin literally was on the 0-16 team. Stafford took over after that. Calvin was around for the worst of the worst days. Now, as to the other point, I am always going to side with millionaires over billionaires when it comes to players trying to get what they want. But I am getting sick of his comments. And the thing is, from a business standpoint, the Lions did nothing wrong. They didn't. They only did something wrong from a personal standpoint. And fair or not, if Calvin feels offended over, that money, that is, it's a lot of money. I feel offended by the fact that it's such a big a deal that he's going to disassociate himself from the Lions. Because, like, Calvin did mean a lot to me. Not what Stafford meant to me, but, like, Calvin meant a lot to me. These players mean a lot to us as fans. And I understand that we don't mean the same amount to them. But guess what? I don't have to feel bad for you. You weren't robbed. Like, the reason the Lions were able to get that money back is because that's how the contract works. And if you see no connection at all to the city of Detroit, the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions fans, you see no connection beyond that money that they took from you, then why should I care? Why should I care about your money? I mean, I'm going to support the player who holds out to make more money. I'm going to support the player who does everything they can to make all the money they have because they're, like, the billionaires are worth way more than they are. But it's just, they did nothing wrong by you on a business level. They did it on a personal level. And that sucks. But I don't know. Like, it bothers me that, his recent comments, I don't have them word for word in front of me, were basically that he's got a lot of people to thank, but he's got nothing to say about the Lions. Screw you.
Yeah, I don't know how long you're going to carry this grudge around for. Like at a certain point, I feel like it's time to just move on. Like it was $1 million. I agree with you where you support the millionaires over the billionaires when it comes to players. I'm in lockstep with you on it. And when this all started, I was really pro Calvin Johnson. But as an organization that was trying to win after their Hall of Fame wide receiver basically up and left them, they had every right to take that money and try to use it to help fulfill their roster and get some talent in here to kind of fill that hole that he left. And that was what they tried to do. It's what Bob Quinn tried to do with that. It was Bob Quinn, who was your general manager at the time, who was handling that situation. And that's what he tried to do. And he had every right to do it. I don't understand. Like, I get what you're saying, where it's on a personal level. It's a very personal thing to him.
See, the thing is, it's wrong on a personal level, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like, who I am as the person, like, I don't hold grudges like that about people who are important to me and things that are important to me. I mean, I can't. There's not a one in my life. I don't hold grudges like that. Now, no one's ever taken $1 million from me. But if the Lions, if the city of Detroit, the Lions, and the organization were important to me, then 5 years later, it wouldn't. I would still be hurt by it. That you somebody can hurt you. That could still be, and you can, like, move forward from that. You know what I mean? And if that's not where he's at, to me, I'll be really curious to see if he thanks the city of Detroit.
Yeah, I will too. I'll be interested to see what comes out in his speech and what he says. I'll also be interested to see what comes out after the Hall of Fame weekend, because I'm assuming some of the Ford family will be there, and he basically said he has nothing to say to any of them. So it'll be interesting if for some reason they are passing each other by, or if they do stop and talk, and kind of what happens there. And it sounds like Sheila's tried to mend fences a little bit, but I don't know. I guess
what I would say is he can feel however he wants about the organization, but I read some of these comments as the years go on, and it starts to feel like he feels no love for any of that, and anything that came with being a part of the Lions. Fair or not. And he doesn't owe it to the fans to make it clear that it's not about that. He doesn't owe us anything, but I don't owe it to him to feel bad for him.
No, exactly. It's just, at a certain point, it sounds like he's kind of a child crying, and you're just kind of like,
I had great memories with him as a Lion. If he doesn't feel that he had great memories as a Lion, fine. But then I don't care about your money.
Right. No, exactly. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens. I'm surprised that you've come over to this side, that you've kind of swayed a little bit from where you originally were, because when we originally started talking about this, you basically told me I was a boob.
Well, the thing is, I don't think I said that.
No, those weren't your words verbatim.
Well, I struggle with this because you've heard me talk about the way that I feel about Stafford, and I know that I know that when players tell you that the fans are the best fans in the world, like that stuff's bullshit. All fans are great. All players know that. I've been up close with some of this stuff, and you can't tell me, like, Louis Delmas would regularly come and sit on the bleachers at Lions open practices. Like, you can't tell me that these guys, the fans, don't mean anything to them. I'm not saying on a one-to-one level they don't, but, like, there is a personal love that is felt both ways, I would say, with most fans. You can't tell me it wasn't more special to Giannis to win at home. You can't tell me that winning the NBA championship would have meant equally as much doing it in Phoenix. And so when it starts to feel like a player is saying over and over again that, like, none of these memories meant anything, and he's not directly said that, but, like, to have literally no love for the Lions organization, to me, it extends beyond just the owners. It is the organization as a whole. It is the city. It is the fan base. It is everything. And you're allowed to be hurt by it, but just over and over and over again, I'm tired of hearing it. If that's the way you feel, that's fine. You're allowed to feel that way, but, like, I don't feel bad for you. You weren't robbed. Like, I understand that like, the way it's normally handled in the NFL is that the superstars, like, get to keep that money, but that's honestly wild to me. It's such a cutthroat business. It's wild that they don't ask for the money that they're entitled to back. The players would do it. Like, it's weird to me.
That's something to me too, right?
Did Calvin get his money back for games he missed with injury in his career?
Exactly.
No, he didn't. He wasn't owed it. Like, that was his money. He deserved that money. Well, the Lions, it was their money that they gave Calvin that he didn't play out.
Nope, exactly. And that's kind of where it's almost like, look, man, you need to take a step back from the situation, maybe check your emotional feelings, and just kind of basically what you said, right? Like, did you have to give that money back when you couldn't play? No, you still got a game check. You still got your salary. You still got paid. They were entitled to that money. They asked for it back. Sorry. Just, you got a deal. I don't know. It just, I'm tired of hearing all of the bitching, all of the complaining. And like I said, I know the media members are the ones asking about it, so he's giving an honest answer, and I appreciate the honesty. But at this point, I'm really just kind of done with the entire situation, and I'm tired of hearing about it. And it's becomes frustrating all the time. And it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what comes of his Hall of Fame speech and his actions at the Hall of Fame. That I think will be really telling, and it'll let us know, I think, as fans, if we're able to maybe mend this or fix this relationship.
Depending on what he says, I could watch a speech, and I'll watch it, and feel a sense of nostalgia and appreciation for what was. And I could also feel it and just feel like nothing. And it's we'll have to revisit it when the time comes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what takes place.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for this one. This time next week, the Pistons should have Cade Cunningham. Hopefully this time next week, I'm ready to play video games. And definitely this time next week, I will be sleeping in a nice new bed.
I think next week we put a pin in it and we revisit your
everything.
bed. We just redo this whole show all over again.
Middle segment will not be how did you break in the bed. I promise you that.